given that it's a very long report, I'm looking to my colleagues for a little bit of help on the exact page number. But
Okay,
I can give you my
on, and you can actually look at that. So that's a question that I have. Because that 20% figure is sort of critical, right? To your argument, which is notwithstanding everything Microsoft said, notwithstanding the agreement that they offered, notwithstanding their agreement with Nintendo, they have an economic incentive to make Call of Duty exclusive.
yes.
And as we all agreed, that's what they want to do, make money, and therefore there's a likelihood that they would do that. So that's why I'm honing in on that.
Yes, no, I totally appreciate that. I think I'll go back and get the exact answer, but and again, I'm not an economist. I try my best. I did my undergraduate in economics, so I have a little bit of an
Oh,
understanding.
you're ahead of me then.
But I'm not nowhere close to to Professor Lee. But the 20%, first of all, we found a range, 15 to 25%. So the 20% is in the middle of that range. And
Right, but
sorry.
we saw that if it's 15%, the same incentive's not there.
Well, let me
Potentially.
that very quickly.
Potentially.
Yeah, yes. So two main inputs go into finding this 20%. The first I think I mentioned a bit earlier, which is the LTV, the 5-year calculation of your average Xbox user, which Microsoft uses in the ordinary course. This is their numbers. They calculate this. And the other main input is the share shift. I'm so sorry. The other main input is the share shift that we use Generation 8 data to approximate. Now, economics is unfortunately, we do the best with the data we have. And in this case, to try to look at what exclusivity might do, looking for this point, the share shift point, looking back on Generation 8 data, you have a much larger set. You have about 7 years of data from last generation, where Call of Duty, as you saw in the graph, was a very, very popular game. So understanding that it might, at first blush, it might be like, oh, why are you looking at Generation 8 data here and Generation 9 data here? For this one input, this expected potential share shift, that's where we look at data.
And when you're looking at the Generation data, are you looking at how many hours people play Call of Duty in a year to come up with that share shift?
Well, I believe it's unit sales data, which, if you buy Call of Duty, that's $70, $60.
Yeah, but we know that some people play 5 hours a year and some people play 200 hours a year. And you're not going to tell me that someone who plays 5 hours a year is likely to buy that Xbox just because Call of Duty is exclusive to Xbox, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I do want to emphasize that the 8.9, I think, oh, I'm sorry.
No, that was
is that public? I'm sorry. That number.
It's all hypothetical.
Yeah. So this is only one consideration. And I'm sorry to zoom out for a second, but Dr. Lee, these are, Professor Lee, these are very big reports. These quantitative models are one of the things that he's looking at, along with qualitative evidence, along with other, Microsoft normal course documents that they look at.
We'll get that. But my question is about this
yes.
foreclosure model, right? Right? Because that's important to Microsoft having the economic incentive. That's a mathematical calculation. That It makes more sense to take Call of Duty exclusive than it does to leave it on all the platforms.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's the nub of it.
Yes, and just what I'm trying to get across is, even though we have this 8.9%, that's just one of the percentages he looks at. We see other share shift figures from Microsoft documents that are consistent with this number. They're a little lower, but with the impact of Call of Duty, its sales, its popularity. I know that
it's very popular. It's sold a lot. A lot of people buy games and they play them once or twice and then they never play them again, right? They play them with their friend and then they never play them again. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm looking at the data that Dr. Bailey said that a lot of people don't buy it and don't play it very much.
Yes. Yeah, and just again, to consider back to Mr. Jim Ryan's declaration, where he discusses, how big Call of Duty is in the PlayStation. Um, no, so sorry. So I would want to turn your honor's attention to paragraph 28 of Mr. Ryan's declaration about the fourth sentence where it starts in 2021, and I won't say anything below after that.
What is the RX number?
It's PX 8001, Your Honor.
Oh, it's not in this.
So, Your Honor, I think
Is what he's saying based on the number of hours played? That's all I'm asking. I'm just wondering.
Paragraph 28 looks, are you asking about when you say he, Your Honor, do you mean Mr. Ryan or Dr.
Yes.
Lake?
But you're relying on Mr. Ryan now.
This-
He's telling me to look at paragraph 28 of
Mr.
Mr.
Ryan,
Ryan.
paragraph 28 is about hours.
Okay.
And then I just want to direct your attention.
And then, but can I ask you then about Dr. Bailey's demonstrative? I didn't hear any dispute with that. Is that accurate?
Demonstrative, Your Honor. Alex Ansaldo for the Federal Trade Commission.
Number
You
15.
said 15, Your Honor.
15.
Mhm.
I don't think we have a specific dispute with the information in this demonstrative.
Okay.
I think Dr. Bailey acknowledged, as Professor Lee showed, that the more that the gamers, more time gamers spend in the game, so the people that are to the right of that chart spend a lot more money than the people that are in the middle or to the left of that chart.
Right. No,
That
but
game.
yeah.
And there was one other thing I wanted to address. Then this is in this next, it's on demonstrative 17, which is confidential.
Yes.
This demonstrative purports to show the average spend per game, not the total value of that whole population of gamers to the platform.
Yes.
So there are many more Call of Duty gamers than there are of the games that are to the left of it in this chart. So this chart doesn't accurately reflect the total value of the franchise to a platform.
That's the money spent. But it doesn't include the platform purchase.
Well, it doesn't tell you how many gamers there are playing that game. So this chart was based on Dr. Bailey's cutoff of 50 hours per year as a franchise gamer. And it's the average of those gamers.
Your Honor, to be clear, it's the money spent, though, as you're pointing out. It's not the hours spent. There's a minimum, but that can't tell you how many hours the Call of Duty players play. And it doesn't hold into what you're asking, which is how do you determine which of those people who play more will actually switch? And we've asked Dr. or Professor Lee in his deposition, we've read his reports, we don't see any calculations there.
Do you have something in his deposition that you're not going to do that, but why don't you look while you're there? Everybody has big teams. Find me where in his deposition you say I can look to see what there is.
Yes, it might not
But you
surprise
say
you that he was not, he gave long answers and it was sometimes hard to.
Just told me that in
Yeah.
his deposition you asked.
No, I said, we don't have any answers for him. We tried, we don't have any answers.
So you can even point me to where you tried.
If I may, Your Honor,
Yes.
I apologize. It took some time. Dr. Lee's reply report, paragraph 207. Dr. Lee in the reply report says, Professor Carlton's first critique is that the Xbox conversion rate that I use is too high. I believe that is directly responsive. The Xbox conversion rate is the 20%. And it says the first critique is that it is too high. But this critique is flawed and rests upon the incorrect assumptions as follows. Paragraph 208 and footnote 233, I believe, are where Dr. Lee shows the support for the 20%. What I suspect is tripping everybody, potentially, respectfully up, is that the 20% conversion rate seems to be calculated and converted into an equivalent percentage points of people who are new to the Xbox. It says the 20% conversion rate that I used by showing that foreclosure of Call of Duty 25 from PlayStation results in an increase of NTX users, that's new to Xbox users, equivalent to 5.5 percentage points of the sales. So I think,
That is,
well, I don't, the stock,
I think, Mr. Weingarten, he's saying I put 20% into the model and it produced 5.5 percentage share change. He's not saying the model produced 20%.
Okay, all right, I see you directing me to those paragraphs and
but no,
to
233.
footnote 233. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think so then let's also talk about the relevant market then for the Gen 9. And I guess where I'm struggling there is because you can play a lot of these games on the PC and the Nintendo console. And so can you give me a case in which a relevant market didn't include something like an input? I guess we call the games an input here. I don't know, that they're playing. Like I can play, not yet, and then maybe never, you would say, on the Nintendo, but I can play on my PlayStation, my PC, and my Xbox simultaneously anywhere in the world against each other. But yet you say that PC is not part of the market.
This one's pretty straightforward, although my colleagues will jump up if I say this one. The question is the consumer's choice and the set of products that the consumer can reasonably substitute. The consumer, in this example, is looking for a video game console with a hypothetical monopolist test, right? The hypothetical monopolist owns the Switch and the PlayStation and the Xbox. And our consumer goes to buy one of those things. We're talking about the broader video game market here.